What is going on YouTube and Weight Loss Warriors? It's your boy C Dub, and I got a special video for you today. I sit down and have a chat with a guy that hasn't eaten any food in 127 days. The Fasting Fat Man. If you don't want to watch that, I don't know what to tell you, but it's going to happen right after this. So I'm joined here by Big John, aka the Fasting Fat Man. So John, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself. What's going on, John? How you doing, man? Can you hear me?
I'm doing fine. How are you? I can hear you.
All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. If you don't know who I am, I'm C Dub, and I'm here with Big John, and you might know Big John from his channel. It's the Fasting Fat Man, and so I want to let him introduce himself and tell you about his channel. So go ahead, John. Tell us what's up.
Hi, everybody. How you doing? It's Big John, a.k.a. the Fasting Fat Man, a.k.a. the Incredible Shrinking Man. I've been fasting for 127 days now. I believe 127 days now. And I started out December 11th, weighing 530 pounds. I went on a 3-week intermittent fasting regimen, and I started my water fast on January 2nd, and as of my last weigh-in on May 1st, I weighed 345 pounds, I believe, or 45.5 pounds.
So John, why did you decide that today was the day on January 2nd to just start this extended fast?
Well, I mean, the story really started from, let me see, I would say December 9th, when I was trying to get off my sofa and it was hard for me to get off. And then again, December 11th, my son was crawling someplace I didn't want him to crawl. And I tried to get off and it was hard for me to get up. And that like sparked something in my mind, a flurry of thought actually, where like now my size is putting my son in danger. And morbid thoughts came into my mind. Like I started thinking like, what if I was carrying him someplace, I caught a heart attack and fell on him, and then my wife come home and, you know, he's dead, I'm dead. Or what if I just have a heart attack while I'm sitting on the sofa and he crawls into danger? And then I started thinking even further, like, am I going to be around to see him graduate kindergarten? You know, am I going to be around to even see him reach 2 years, 3 years? Because at the time he wasn't even a year yet. So my wife had came home later that day and she said she wanted to do a raw diet. And I thought to myself, well, you know, that's a great idea because I do want to lose the weight. But even more importantly, my wife, like when you guys see her, if she ever does decide to step in front of the camera, she doesn't really need to go on a diet. She's not a big person. She's small. This is why, like in one of my videos, I say when we walk down the street, we look like the number 10, you know, because she's slim. So, you know, it's just a way for her to break the whole topic about me losing weight. Because, you know, when you're morbidly obese, when you're fat in general, you're very defensive when people try to tell you, hey, look, you got to lose weight. So she just kind of does these end about things where she'll say like, hey, I'm gonna go on a diet. Do you want to join and things like that? But it's really basically trying to tell me, look, I think you need to lose weight. So given the factors that was happening, I felt that it was prudent that I did something about my weight because I had this feeling of impending death. I can't even describe it. I've never really felt like that in my life. It was kind of like God was telling me, if you stay this size, you are going to die. So I started researching different ways to lose weight. It really started with just researching what the raw diet is because I didn't know what it was. And I started coming across things like intermittent fasting and fasting. Like intermittent fasting, I was familiar with because I did give it a shot one time, and I abused it. I had an 8-hour eating window, and I ate everything I wanted in that 8 hours because I really believed that, you know, if I fasted the other 16 hours, I would still lose weight. And of course, if you eat like a pig in your 8-hour window, you're not going to lose anything. You'll gain. You may not gain as much as if you ate the same amount of calories throughout the day, but you still gain weight. So I kept looking and I found fasting. I came across the story of Angus Barbieri, and he's this Scotsman who fasted for 382 days. And he started his fast at 456 pounds. So to me, that was incredible. I thought, like, here go a man who's morbidly obese, and he was able to not eat for 382 days. And at the time, I didn't know what fasting was. So in my mind, I imagined, how is it possible that this man could literally wake up every day hungry, suffer from hunger pains, and fight that? So it became an obsession to find out more about this. And in time, I learned that that's not the case at all. When you fast, you're only hungry the first 4 or 5 days, and then your body switches to survival mode. It starts burning your fat for fuel. And once it does that, hunger completely goes away. You're no longer hungry. You're just sated. So I decided that, all right, you know what? I'm going to give it a try, because I knew all I had to do was really just get past the first 4 days. And this is why I did the intermittent fasting regimen with the 4-hour eating window, because I felt like, you know, by doing that, I would train my body to handle the fasting. Because with a 4-hour eating window, that would mean for 3 weeks, I'll be fasting 20 hours a day. So if I, you know, skip the 4 hours, I figured my body wouldn't miss it as much. And that kind of worked, because the first 2 days of fasting, I felt no hunger. Hunger didn't come until the 3rd and 4th day. And even when that came, that was during my eating window. My eating window was from 2:30 to 6:30, and hunger would creep on the 3rd and 4th day, like roughly around 1:30, 1:40, and then it would go away after my window was shut. So that's how I was able to go into the fasting. By the 5th day, when I woke up that morning, my eating window came and went. I felt nothing, but all day I just felt sated. It's kind of like when you're stuck between lunch and dinner, you feel a little hungry, and you grab a little bite to eat to hold you over till dinner. That feeling after you grab that little bite, where you're like, okay, I'm good, I can hang on till dinner. That's how I feel all the time, 24/7, since I started fasting. Now, the reason I started on the 2nd is because January 1st, traditionally, my mother makes a huge New Year's Day meal. And I thought to myself, like, look, if I'm going to fast, and originally the fast was just going to be for 30 days. I didn't even know if I could make it to 30 days. I was like, okay, try to make it 7 days. If you could do 7 days and you quit after the 7 days, the plan was to do 7 days each month until I lost the weight. The 7 days came and went. I'm like, okay, then you can make it to 10. And on the 8th day, when I started the YouTube channel, because I had realized I lost so much weight that nobody would believe that I did this through fasting and intermittent fasting. So I just started the YouTube channel for proof, you know, for my family and friends, to show that, like, I'm doing this on my own. This isn't like, you know, a gimmick or anything like that. I didn't get any surgery or anything of the sort. So, and then that slowly took a life all its own, where other people started fasting, started thanking me for changing their life. They gained inspiration from me. So that took a whole different life. But back to why I started on the 2nd, it was because if I was going to have a last meal for 30 days, I wanted to be that New Year meal. Plus, you know, the temptation so soon of going to my family and having all that food in front of me. If I had made a decision to start fasting on New Year's Day, I would have failed from the jump. It would have been impossible. So it's kind of like if you're a drug addict, one of the things you do is you stay away from familiar places and people, things that trigger your drug addiction. So, and I'm not saying that eating at my mother's house triggers anything. It's just that, you know, my mother's an excellent cook. She's a phenomenal cook. If she couldn't cook for crap, I may be big, but I don't think I would have been this big. But I had to get that last meal out the way and then start on the second. And I figured like there wouldn't be anything major for a while. So I'd be able to really get fasting under my belt before I'd have to show up at a major event where I'd be tempted by food. So that pretty much worked. And here we are at day 127, and I'm still going strong.
Wow, you said a lot of things that touched home. I think I went through very similar situation. In the beginning, I think it can be very hard for anyone to think about long-term, like not eating, even on a 23-hour schedule. But once you get used to, once you quote-unquote build that fasting muscle, it really isn't very hard to go through a typical day. So I can get how you get through one and then that becomes two and then that becomes three and you're just going. But the part that I want to understand is as you're doing that, you set a goal for 30 days. Now 30 days is approached, it's come and it's gone. So what makes you want to stay in for another 30, which snowballs on and on and on to where you're at now 120 plus days?
It's what it is really the fasting itself. What happens is after the fourth day, hunger goes away, but then you still have the mental hunger that's there, that's trying to tempt you into eating. You know, that nagging thing, like, you know, okay, you've done well, you've done it long enough. It's time to break it and go back to eating. And that went away after roughly around 21 days or so. And once that mental hunger went away, it just became easier to fast. Like, you know, like to me, it was like, this is easy. I'm losing weight. And, the support from YouTube had been so great. I'm like, you know what? Let me see if I can do 60. I was sure I could do 60. I'm not going to BS you. Like, once the 30 days was under the belt, like I knew I could do 60. And as my channel grew and more people started fasting with me, I wanted to see how I push myself personally. And I started putting goals in, thinking like, look, I want to be 195 pounds by December. You know, I just, wanted to start this to try to get my eating under control. Because the other thing, like I researched and learned about Angus, is after his 382-day fast, he never became obese again. So I figured, okay, the fasting did something to end his addiction to food, because you don't become that size unless you are addicted to food. So upon further research, I learned that long-term fasting resets your appetite. Now, there isn't a magic number as to when that happens. So I made a decision that, look, I'm going to fast as long as I can in hopes that my appetite is reset and I could end my addiction to food. So I just, like, after 30 days, I was like, let me do 60. I took it 30 days a pop because it's like a team decision. My wife, she's, in the beginning, she was worried about me fasting until I actually went and saw the doctor and started getting monitored. Then that eased her mind a bit. But the combination of losing weight and how I felt during the fast, like for instance, around day 70, the overall missing the mechanics of eating, I can't explain it. It's kind of like when you're fasting, you drinking water, you miss chewing things. Like I was researching sugar-free gums and things like that because I figured like I could at least chew gum. But the problem is I came across something that said that your body, when you chew gum, even though it's sugar-free, the sweetness will trick your body into thinking it's sugar, and it could knock you out of ketosis and autophagy. And I felt that wasn't worth it to me because I want to stay in a constant state of ketosis. So I'm like, okay, I'll scrap the gum. But even that urge to chew, that went away roughly after 70 days, where like as far as like the mechanics of eating, that kind of faded away from me altogether. And there's a point after 90 days, I can't put my finger on when exactly it is, where I felt like my dependency on food, my love for food, like was absolutely gone. I reached a point where I felt honestly I could care less. It's a tool. And I think that's where I probably broke my addiction, even though this YouTuber, Mariah Victoria, did a video where she said she felt something similar during her 54-day fast. And when she got off the fast, it wasn't true. Like, she went back to addiction. Now, I would hazard a guess that maybe she really did break her addiction, but once you're addicted, it's a lifelong thing. Like an alcoholic could break his addiction, and he can even step in the bar like 20 times, and then on the 21st time, he just gives in and takes a drink. So in my opinion, it could be that like maybe her addiction was broken, but she went back to things that was familiar to her body that caused the addiction to trigger, and for her to spontaneously regress into her old eating habits. Now, I have a plan to deal with that, and that's simply by going OMAD, one meal a day. And when I say one meal a day, I feel I must always clarify this, because I made the mistake when I first was researching OMAD. I thought it was literally one meal a day. But if you're just having one meal a day, say breakfast or just lunch or just dinner, that's a calorie deficit, a caloric deficient diet. You're basically starving yourself, and that's not going to help you lose weight. That's going to slow your metabolism. That's going to wreak havoc on your system. You're going to be hungry all day. That's a recipe for failure. What OMAD is you're having your breakfast, lunch, and dinner all in one sitting. So you're getting your full caloric intake for the day, so you're satiated for the day. And then, OMAD usually takes place between 1 and 2 hours. So you're fasting the other 22, 23 hours. So your body's in a fasted state. Now, for me, my body, has been used to being in a fasted state. So when I switched to OMAD, the fasted state is what it's used to. And the aberration is really the 1-2 hours that I'm going to eat. So it's just a paradigm that my body's going to get used to. And more importantly, it's completely foreign to anything I've done in my life. So I don't think there's going to be a triggering effect where all of a sudden I fall back into an old habit. The old habit is not there at all because I'm not following my old eating patterns at all.
Yeah, Big John, I think you're onto something there. OMAD is something that I'm not sure if you realize, but it's helped me lose 125 pounds. And so I think it's the right way to go. But there is a couple things that I want to stress out there before you get started on that part of your life, is that you can't overeat during your OMAD meal. And so you got to be conscious of not, putting 5,000 calories in, that kind of thing. But I think if you're able to sit down and enjoy your meal, it's going to teach you things that you didn't even know existed, like the fact that each meal becomes like a special event, and so you're okay with it. But in food that you normally would have been like, becomes really delicious. But also, one of the neat things is if you get too busy, you've trained yourself to a point where you'll look at the clock and say, you know what, man, I didn't catch my window today. I'll just catch it tomorrow. And you hit a 48-hour fast without even thinking about it. So I think moving forward on your refeed, I think OMAD is going to be a great tool for you.
Well, what I plan on doing is my OMAD window, and my window is not even going to be strict, because another thing too that I find and this is from experience too. Like the reason, because I've lost tons of weight in the past doing diets. I've succeeded on many diets, and my food addiction has always caused me to gain the weight back. What I find is like one of the reasons like I fail at these diets is because I cannot keep them lifetime, whereas the OMAD I will keep lifetime. Now, what I plan on doing with the OMAD is pretty simple. Like I'm going to prepare my food, so I'm literally going to sit there, like make my breakfast, scrambled eggs, vegetables, make my lunch, say, tuna on on what they call that, romaine lettuce, and then make my dinner, say like hypothetically steak with hollandaise sauce and some asparagus spears. So I'm literally going to make each one and sit them in front of me and sit there and like slowly eat them over a 1-2 hour period. So it's not going to be like any real guesswork. Like it'll be the separate meals that I prepare myself. And of course, when I'm out, New York, they got these things where you have to put the calories on the menu. So I'll easily be able to read the calories and see like the 3 meals I could have and combine for my OMAD, because the other thing with OMAD too is OMAD is us. It's how humans were built to eat. Like prior to this commercialism and consumerism, where the corporations push this notion that you got to eat 3, 4, 5, 6 meals a day just so you constantly buying their goods. When we were hunter-gatherers, we didn't sit around like hunting animals all day to eat all day. No, you go out, you hunt, you bring back, like if it's a big animal, the whole village eat. If it's a rabbit, you and your family eat. And pretty much you're good until you're hungry again. So you might go a day, 2 days before the hunger gets you again, and then you take your spear and you're out there and you're hunting again. But that's the way we were built. You see what I'm saying? Now, because the reason why America has this obesity problem, where I believe it's like 60% of us is considered fat or obese. 60% is because of consumerism, because we eat needlessly. We no longer follow Ben Franklin's advice that one should live to eat and not, one should eat to live and not live to eat. We literally eating all the time. Like, and it's pushed on us. You see the commercials where you watch TV and like somebody got to open up a bag of Doritos. It's just ridiculous. Like, but OMAD is the way to go. And like, yes, you can't overeat in OMAD. That's a given. But the thing is, I plan on being very diligent in terms of the calorie intake, anywhere from 2,000 to 2,500. And the reason I say 2,500 is because along with the OMAD, I plan on working out every single day. I plan on waking up. I have a whole gym room that I'll probably show on my channel once I stop fasting and start working out, because I don't plan on fasting as long as Barbieri. There's no way I'm going to do 300 days, or anything of the sort. But when I do transition to OMAD, one of the things I want to do is wake up early every morning, and I have a tread climber, get on the tread climber, or if it's nice outside, go outside, do a quick jog. But I do plan on working out. So my caloric intake will be roughly around 2,000 to 2,500. But I have no, unless I plan on becoming Michael Phelps, there's no sense in taking 5,000 calories. Phelps got taking 5,000 calories, but he's a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah, exercising is important. I end up walking about 15,000 steps a day, and I'm lifting 3 times a week. And I think that's one of the reasons why maintenance has been so easy for me. But when I was 310 pounds, I couldn't do it, man. I didn't even realize how sick I felt and just how I just didn't feel good. And I didn't realize that until I started losing weight. But as the weight started to come off, I started feeling better and my activity levels increased. And so I think you're going to see a lot of that stuff as you move forward in your journey. But I think it's also super incredible that you were able to just get right up off the couch after a while and start moving. That had to be a great feeling.
first met my wife, I was roughly around this size, right? And we would go out to plays, the movie theaters, etc. I could sit in seats. As I got bigger, it restricted our ability to go out. And even when we go to restaurants, I'd have to go online to look to see if I could sit in the seats. If, you know, I'm worried, like, is the chair going to break? Does it have these handles that's going to make it impossible for me to fit in? Am I going to have to sit on the very edge and be uncomfortable during dinner? Are the seats too low? Am I going to have a problem standing back up? Like, a lot of things had to go into play that, like, now it's like I could go anywhere I bloody well feel like, and I don't have to worry about that. And it's crazy, like, the way as you get bigger, you just adapt instead of just losing the weight. And you know, it's funny too, because I would watch shows like My 600-Pound Life, and I would say to myself, oh my God, how does someone get that big that, you know, they can't get out of bed? And the thing is, I was headed towards there. Like, you know, it starts with difficulties getting off of couches, where instead of doing something about it, you just accept it. So then you accept you can't get off the couch. You accept that you need a walker to go places. You accept that you can't get out of bed, and you prop yourself up and people got to bring you the food. You know, like, I was there. Like, fortunately enough, I changed courses. But the thing is, like, as I'm getting small, I'm realizing that I pretty much accepted a lot of the crap that, like, you know, started limiting me because I was getting bigger. And rather than solve the problem and losing the weight, I just adapted. And, you know, that was just, I don't know, like, as I look back, I'm like, I was an idiot. You know, like, the smaller I get, the more foolish I feel, because I could have done this ages ago. Not necessarily fast, but just gain control. Like, the reward itself is in losing the weight. As you lose the weight, the more weight you lose, the more you're rewarded. You see what I'm saying? Like, and the more you reward it, the better you feel, the more confident you feel. So the more weight you lose. Now, in the past, when that's happened, I've gotten comfortable to a point, and I would turn to another kind of reward. I said, oh, I'm down 160 pounds. Let me go to Burger King. I could, like, binge, because I can't gain back 160 pounds in one day. And that is a cascading effect where every day, today's Burger King, tomorrow's IHOP. Then there's, like, all these restaurants you put in your mind you want to try, and before you know it, boom, you're back up 50, 60 pounds, 70 pounds, 80 pounds. Then you start fooling yourself and saying, well, I lost the weight before, I could do it again. And before you know it, you gain back everything plus another 40 pounds, living in this delusion that because you had lost all the weight again, you could lose it again. I mean, because you lost all the weight before, you could lose it again. You know, when the truth is, your addiction is in full, like, you're just you're just right there. You're stuck. You're no different than an alcoholic, than a heroin addict, a coke addict. You're just stuck, you know? And I mean, now I'm aware of it, you know? I'm aware of the lies I tell myself. I'm aware that I am the perfect liar to myself because it is myself. Therefore, I believe myself. So now one of the first rules is, you know, if it's not healthy, don't trust myself. It's as simple as that. Like, you know, even like with the OMAD, one of the things that and I got this from a commenter on the board, is like, I'm only going to eat like God made things. Like, I'm going to stay away from man-made things. All the processed stuff, I'm gonna stay away from it. Like, you know, and as far as things like McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, those things are like poison to me. Like, I'm not even going to entertain eating any of that. If I want a burger, I'm gonna make it myself, or I'll have it from like some kind of 5-star restaurant. But I'm not going to any fast food restaurant even for a second. Like, if I'm not going to make it myself, because of my OMAD window, you know, I set it up so that I'm always eating with my wife. So I always have that built-in guard, like, right there. But further than that, I no longer trust myself. Like, so there isn't this, well, you know what, you're 195 pounds. Go treat yourself to Pizza Hut. No, I don't trust you. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not. I'll go home. I'll take out the cauliflower. I'll pick it up. I'll get the cheese. I'll make a cauliflower crust, and I will create my own pizza. And I will eat that whole pizza, and it will taste as delicious as Pizza Hut, but it will be 100% healthy, 100% good for my body, and it will not get me fat.
Yeah, no, that's all good stuff, man. It's all good stuff. Well, man, I've kept you for half an hour. I didn't mean to keep you that long, but you're amazing. It's such an inspiration to everybody in the fasting community. I mean, I can't even imagine to do what you're doing. I look forward. I told everybody on my channel, I don't know if you saw the video I did on you, but I'm like must see TV. That's what you are. You are must see TV. You know, we all want to see how it's going to go, and we all want to see how it turns out. But I also want to extend to you that, you know, I'm maintaining my weight. I've kept it down. I've changed. I'm an O matter. So when you get into the transition, if you need me, man, reach out to me. I can give you some advice, help you out in any way I can, because I want to see you succeed, man. I want to see you be like the gentleman you said did 300 and something days. I want to see you as a slim man so that you can be there, so we can set up a play date with our grandchildren. How about that? Because I have two sons. You know what I'm saying?
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, and look,
that would be absolutely wonderful.
And I'm trying. I had the same inspiration as you, 100%. I did it for both my boys. You know, I wanted to see them have kids, man. You know, no other reason. You know, and one other note too. You talked about it. I lied to myself too, and I think every overweight person does. I think we look in the mirror and we start to believe our lies.
You know what it takes to manipulate ourselves. So basically, it's like that classic TV thing, one on the other, and they both playing the tug of war with your head. And you know, we know exactly what it takes to manipulate ourselves, and we just play ourselves like a fiddle and lie to ourselves, like, well, you know, I got this under control. No, we don't.
Yeah, I used to say, oh, it's all because of my knee, because I have a knee replacement and I'm hurt. Oh, it's all because of my knee. It's because the crap. It's because of my knee. You know, it's because I didn't get my butt up and move enough, and I ate too much. And until you realize that, you know, you're going to be a failure. So I'm glad. Everything you're saying is wonderful, man. Hopefully we can do something again too, man. I appreciate your time. I guess you got anything you want to tell YouTube land?
Well, first, I want to thank you so much for this interview. And other than that, God, like, it is never too late to take control of your health. It never is. I'm serious, because, you know, like, I was at the point where, you know, I was like, you know what, I guess I got to do the gastric bypass, because, like, in the past, you know, I was very successful in weight. And again, this was one of the things that I pretty much gaslight myself into believing, you know, that I had my addiction under control. I'd be able to lose the weight with a snap of a finger. And that just didn't happen. So I reached the point where I was like, I'm going to get the gastric. But I've been telling myself I'm going to get the gastric for like 3 years now. So even in that, I was BSing myself. You know, the first key to succeeding is stop lying to yourself. You have a problem, face the problem, admit you have the problem, and that's the first key to solving the problem. If you sit there and you tell yourself things like, well, I don't really eat that much, I only have a little bit, I don't know why I'm getting fat, you're BSing yourself. You know exactly why you're getting fat. You're not eating a little bit. You can't eat a little bit and get fat. Unless you have some kind of thyroid issues, in which case you would know about it, because the doctor would tell you, look, it's your thyroid. No matter what you eat, you're going to get big. But 99% of us don't have thyroid issues. We BS ourselves. We lie to ourselves. We tell things like, well, I had a little bit of this. If you take the time to take out a notebook and write down everything you eat that day and the calorie right next to it, you will be astounded. Even if it's the juice you drink, the soda you drink, add up all those calories for that day. You'll be astounded that the little bit that you BS yourself in your mind turns out to be like 5,000 calories, 7,000 calories easily. Like, stop it. You know, if you want to make a change, you can make a change. I did. You know, there's no excuse for not making a change. There's no excuse for not taking control of your life. Like, you know, if you want to stay morbidly obese, you just got to accept the fact, like, look, I love food more than life, and I'm willing to die for food. Look, if you're fine with that, then we all have the freedom to live our life how we please. But if you have children, you have people who care about you, that you care about, that you love, and you want to be there for them, don't do this to them. You know, do whatever you can, do whatever is in your power to like make that change and become a better, like, I can't even say a better person, because there's nothing wrong with us with being morbidly obese. We have a problem. You know what I'm saying? But do whatever it is that you need to do to help get your problem under control. That's all I have to say.
Hey, 100%. Hey guys, I need you to get over to his channel. Again, that you know, Big John, you are the man. I'm gonna have his channel linked down here in the description. Just make sure you guys stop by and check out the Fasting Fat Man channel. It is absolutely must-see TV. You guys got to see the end of this journey, and hopefully he'll keep his channel up after the journey's over.
Well,
and stay
I have
with us.
to, Chris. I have to, because there's like, you know, you have a channel. There's always like trolls and naysayers, you know. And
Oh, yeah.
my whole thing with proving people wrong is through success. Success is the best everything. It's the best revenge. It's the best I told you so. It's the best equalizer. So, like, when I do hit 195 pounds, like, all I'm going to do is move the goalposts. It'll be like, okay, well, the next thing will be like, let's say, a challenge to compete in a bodybuilding competition, or a challenge to do a marathon or a triathlon. There's going to be another Mount Everest to climb. That's A, going to keep me active, keep me fit, and B, keep showing everybody that, look, I am never becoming obese again. And my goal is to keep this channel open 5, 6, 7 years. So all these people talking about like, well, the minute you eat, you're going to get fat again, and all these other nonsense, so that like they could see, like, they're not going to comment at that point. At that point, they're not going to be man enough to come on the channel and say, hey, look, you know what? I was wrong 3 years ago when I said this was going to happen. They'll never be bold enough to do that. But they will keep checking, hoping that I fail. And every time they see me slim, it's going to gnaw at them. And that's my revenge. That's going to put a smile on my face, because mentally, I know that they know. And that's enough for me.
Yeah, I never understood trolls, man. They spend their time doing what? Like, you got nothing better to do? That's just that. I ain't got time for that.
Yeah, it's amazing. I never, like, people just come on and talk about like, you're going to die. Like, you know, I'm a father, and like, this is like how you come at me. I mean, it's one thing to say like, because there's been some people with genuine concern, like, oh, be careful refeeding. You know, if you're not careful, it could kill you. Or like, you know, like I'm afraid if you go too long, it could kill you. And then I'll point out Angus Barbieri and all the precaution I'm taking. That's one thing. Then there's other people who just comes out straight up like, hey, this guy's going to be dead by next week. Like, why, you know, like, dude, seriously, like, who does that? What kind of life are you living? Like, this is the thing you wish upon another human being.
Man, one time I posted a before and after on Reddit, and it went way up, like up the chain. It was the #1 Reddit post on the intermittent fasting with 500,000 people. And I'm reading through these comments, and there's so many people